Hello friends, welcome back to your channel. In this channel, we primarily try to solve the previous year's NEET physics question papers. This is helpful for those aspiring to write the NEET exam. This is also helpful to those who are aspiring to write the JEE mains exam because they are based on NCERT. We hope you will like the way we are solving the problems and you will be able to apply them to your own questions also, right? If you think you are learning from these videos, then please subscribe and like the videos in this channel so that we get motivated to add more content. So without much ado, we will get started. So in the previous video, we had posted some questions on straight line motion 2. So in this video, we will be solving the first 5 questions of that video, right? So we'll get started now. So these are some of the important formula which we should know for motion. What are these formulas? V is equal to u plus at. So imagine that a body is going from here to here, which is point A to point B, and it takes a time t. Time taken is equal to t. Imagine it starts with the initial speed or velocity of u, and when it reaches here, the velocity is s, and it traverses a distance s. Okay. So v is equal to v, and the acceleration for movement, right? So imagine the acceleration for movement, it is equal to a. Okay. So v is equal to u plus at, right? So v is the final speed or velocity at which it reaches here. U is the initial speed or velocity. At times it so happens that a body might start from rest, so u will be 0. A is the acceleration of the movement. T is the time taken for the body to reach from A to B. Okay. Similarly, S is equal to distance traveled. S is equal to ut. U is initial speed or velocity. T is the time taken plus half A t square. And V square is equal to u square plus 2as. So these three important formula one should remember all the time. Okay. Then the next concept is relative velocity. What is relative velocity? Imagine two bodies are there. Okay, one is body A and other is body B. Okay. Okay. So body A, imagine if it is moving with velocity VA, if body B is moving with velocity VB. So the relative velocity means, like, at any point in time, what is the velocity of one body with reference to the other body. Okay. So if they are moving in the same direction, the velocity, so the relative velocity is given as here v2 difference of v1. Okay. It depends on which is higher, okay, v1 or v2, and it will be subtracted accordingly. So if they are moving the same direction like this, so it will be va difference of VB. Okay. But imagine if they are moving in the opposite direction, right? So if VA is moving, so if VA is moving forward, but VB is moving this side backward, okay? Right? So in this case, what will be the relative velocity? The relative velocity in this case will be, so this, since it is moving in the opposite direction, it will be termed as negative. Okay, so in this case, the relative velocity will be VA minus VB is equal to VA plus VB. So this is a very important topic which we should know. What is the relative velocity? Third is in acceleration to gravity on Earth. So when a body is falling toward Earth's gravity, right? So there is an acceleration due to gravity g, which we should know. Okay, and g is normally given by default, it is 9.81 meters per second square. At times in the question they might state the value of g could be 10 meters per second square. So in that case we are supposed to follow that. The next important thing is about the function of t, right? So in the previous question we saw that s could be a constant. For example, I could say that s, for example, is traveling say 200 meters, for example, right? Okay, and it could have, say for example, a velocity, constant velocity, say 15 meters per second, and say for example acceleration is 5 meters per second square. Okay, so in this case we could have such situations as we saw in the previous cases, but in some cases what might happen is that they could be variable, so they could change with time. Okay, they will not be constant. So imagine that it is given that s, so in this case it could be so that s is a function of t, right? So in this graph, if you look like this, right, so s is a function of t. So at time is equal to t1, this is the distance. Okay, at time t2, this is the distance here. Okay, this is a distance at time t2, t1. Okay, at time t1, this is distance. At time t2, this is a distance. At time t3, for example, this is t3 here, and this is a distance. Okay, and so on. So distance is a function of t. In such cases, how do you compute the velocity? So imagine that this is a function given, right? So this function is dependent on t. When I say function of t, it means it depends on t. So this could be a function. Imagine s is 5t cube plus 6t square minus t. So in such cases, if we have to find the velocity is equal to ds by dt. So differentiation of s with respect to time, and acceleration is double differentiation of s with respect to time. Okay, or a single differentiation of velocity with respect to time. So we'll just elaborate that, right? So if s is equal, and how do we compute this? For example, if s is, so let me take a very simple example. So imagine I say that s is equal to 2t cube, and then what is, if I ask that what is ds by dt? So in this case it's very simple. So what we do is that look at the coefficient of this t. Okay, the coefficient of t is 2, so that remains as it is. There will be no change in that. Then if there is a power here, then that power will come in the front and be multiplied with the coefficient here, like for example this case, and power will be directed by 1. The power of t which is being differentiated will be directed by 1. Okay, so it will become t, 3 minus 1 becomes 2, right? It will be 6t square. So this is a very simple case. Okay, so imagine that if, so that is about it, right? Imagine that if it is, if just a constant, right? If s is equal to 5, then what is ds by dt? Since here there is no t here, right? We can assume that t is 0 here. Okay, if t is 0 here, then in such cases we'll say that ds by dt is 0. Okay, because t is not present here. Okay, t is not present, right? Similarly, if s by t is equal to 5t cube plus 6t square minus t2, then how do you compute the velocity? The velocity is equal to ds by dt. So this is equal to 5. So if we apply the same logic what we learned now, so the coefficient of, so we have to take term by term, right? Since it's a plus sign, we have to take each term separately and differentiate them, right? 3 different terms. So 5, let's take first 5t cube. So in this case 5 into 3 is the power, so we'll bring 3 here. Okay, into, then power minus 1, so it becomes t. 3 minus 1 becomes 2. Similarly for the second term, it becomes 6 into, what is the power here, 2, and then this power will be minus 1. To t minus 2 minus 1 becomes 1. Okay, 2 minus 1 become 1, and again just no point in writing. Okay, minus, and this is a constant, there is no t here, so we can say it is 0. So this becomes 15t square plus 12t minus 0. Okay, so this becomes the velocity. Now if someone says what is the acceleration? Acceleration d2s by dt2. This is also already first differentiation of s with respect to t. So the second differentiation of s with respect to t will be like this. Okay, so this is the, now this v is with respect to t, so I can say this is also equal to dv by dt. This is acceleration. Okay. Again, we have to do the differentiation here. So it will be 15t square. If you have to differentiate this, 15 into what is the power of t is 2. Okay, into 2 minus 1 is 1. So this will be t to the power 1. Plus 12t, we have to now differentiate the 12t part of it. So it will become plus 12, and t, the power of t is 1. So 1 will come here, and then we subtract that power. T1 minus 1 is 0, t 0. And then this is 0 already, so we don't need to do anything here. So this becomes equal to 30t plus 12. Okay, so this becomes the acceleration. If you have to find a further differentiation, which is d3s by dt3, then this becomes equal to, so 30 into t to the power 1, right? So 1 will come here, we multiply 1, and t 1 and 1 minus 1, so we have to deduct the power by 1. So 1 minus 1 is 0, so t becomes 0. Plus 12, so there is no t here, so if you differentiate this, this will become 0. Okay, this becomes 30t, 30, but t0 is nothing, it's just 1, t to the power 0 is 1, so 30. Okay, so this will be the d3s by dt3. So this is the way we do differentiation and find the value of velocity and acceleration. So how does it happen here? So imagine if this is the function here, we take a small strip here, right? Take a small strip here. Take a small strip here. So this particular distance, we are calling this is the ds, right? This particular distance ds, and this small thing is dt. And this, so that is why when you do ds by dt, it is at a particular point. We have to calculate the value. Okay. So when at this, so this is a ds dt. So the value of velocity ds dt will be at this point. Okay. We substitute the point, whatever, say for example, what the value of t here is 3. So we substitute the value of 3 here for t, and then we compute the value of velocity. Okay. So because the function is not constant, it is moving, right? It is not constant. It is a quadratic function, so it will differ from point to point. Okay. So this we need to know. There is another thing we need to know, which is about the maxima and minima. So what is maxima and minima? I'll just try to explain this briefly here. So imagine if your function is like this. Okay, so at this point, so if this is s by t, okay, and this is ds by dt, so imagine that this is a velocity thing, right? So in this case, if this is a velocity and time, okay, so if you have to calculate the maxima here, we have to differentiate this here. We have to differentiate dv by dt. So what will be dv? If I take a point here, if I take a point here, for example, then the ds, we told ds by dt, right? So what will be ds here? Ds will be at this point, right? It will be, ds will be, no, there will be no change at all, right? It will be 0. Okay, so the dv by dt in this case will be 0. Okay, so in this case, wherever the dv by dt is 0, we say that that point is the maximum velocity. Okay, that point is maximum velocity. Fine, we'll elaborate more in the questions to come. Now we'll move towards the questions. So the first question here is given that x is equal to 6 plus 8t square minus 2t cube. Okay, this is the x given to us. What is the retardation of the particle? So retardation, nothing but negative acceleration. So we need to compute the acceleration of the particle at when its velocity becomes 0. So we have to compute the velocity then. So what is the velocity? We just learned now. Velocity in this case is dx by dt. So what is dx by dt here? This is a constant, so it becomes 0 plus 8t square. So this becomes 16t. and minus 2t cube. So 3 into 2 is 6. 6t, 3 minus 1, 2, right? This is 16t minus 6t square. What is the acceleration? It is d2x by dt2. So this is the velocity here, right? This we also call as dv by dt. This is equal to, we just need to differentiate once again. 16 minus 2 into 6 is 12 t. Okay, so these are the two values of velocity and acceleration, dx by dt and d2x by dt2. So here, what is given here? The motion of particle is given here, which we did here. Described with this, x is in meter, t is in second. What is the retardation of the particle when its velocity becomes 0? So when is the velocity becoming 0? This is the velocity. If this has to become 0, it means 6t square minus 16t is equal to 0. It means t, if you take common, so t minus, sorry, you take t as common, okay, so 6t minus 16 is equal to 0. So either t is equal to 0 or t is equal to 16 by 6, which is equal to 8 by 3. Okay. So now, since the body has just started at t is equal to 0, so we have to ignore this. So at t is equal to 8 by 3, it is saying the velocity will be 0. So the question is, what is the retardation of the particle when its velocity becomes 0? So velocity becomes 0 at t is equal to 8 by 3. So it means we need to compute the acceleration at the point when t is equal to 8 by 3. So this is the acceleration here. So if you have to compute the value of acceleration at t is equal to 8 by 3, then this is equal to 16 minus 12 into 8 by 3. Okay, so this is 16 minus 32 is equal to minus 16. So this is the acceleration, right? Now in the question they ask me how much is retardation, which is a negative acceleration. So negative acceleration will be 16, right? Which is the 16, which is the third answer. Okay, here third answer. This is the answer. Okay, we'll go to the next question now. In this question, it's given that a particle starts its motion from rest under the action of a constant force. The distance covered in the first 20 seconds, so S1, okay, S1 is the distance in first 20 seconds. I can say distance in first 20 seconds. Okay, and similarly S2 is the distance in first 40 seconds. Okay, so these are given to me. So now we know that S is equal to half a t square. We know this, right? Since it is given that it is a constant force, see, look at this, right? It's giving the first line constant force. Sorry. Constant force, right? Constant force, what does it imply? Because mass is constant, so constant acceleration. So acceleration is not changing, right? Constant acceleration. So acceleration is not changing. So in this case, so S is equal to half at square. So in first 20 seconds, what is the distance traveled? So S in, I'll say S1 for example, okay, or I can say S20 also, right? So this is equal to half into A into 20 square. Okay, this is equal to half into A into 400, right? This is equal to 200 A. This is the distance traveled in first 20 seconds. Okay, what about distance traveled in first 40 seconds? This is equal to half into a, because the acceleration is constant, into 40 square. Okay, this is equal to 800 a. Okay, this is s2. So we need to find the relation. If you look at the question, if you look at the answers given to us, we need to find the relation between S2 and S1. Okay, so what will be the relation between S2 and S1 here? So S2 by S1 is equal to, S2 is 800A and S1 is 200A. This is equal to 4. So it means S2 is equal to 4S1. Okay, so this is the answer. So the answer is the fourth option which is given to us. Okay, so this is the answer to us. Now we'll move to the next problem now. It is given here that a bus is moving. So imagine that a bus is moving here. So a bus is moving with a speed of 20 meters per second. Okay, so a bus is moving here. A bus is moving in this direction. Okay, with 20 meters per second. This is a bus. 20 meters per second. Okay, a scooterist wishes to overtake the bus in 200 seconds. So time to overtake is equal to 200 seconds. Okay, the bus is at a distance of 2 kilometers. So imagine the bus is already here and the scooterist is going here, right? He's actually going from here. So this distance is given to be 2 kilometers, which is equal to 2000 meters. Okay, from the scooterist, right? From the scooterist. Okay, so with what speed should the scooterist chase the bus? So now, see, this could be solved in two ways, right? First, I'll tell you the easier way, which is a relative velocity way, right? Relative velocity. If you look at relative velocity, now the distance to be covered, the distance gap to be covered is 2 kilometers, right? The distance to be covered with the relative velocity, right, is 2000 meters. Okay, the time in which it is to be covered is, time required is, it is given that he has to cover it in 200 seconds. Okay, and what is, we don't know the velocity, so the velocity difference, right, the velocity difference is your relative velocity, right, is equal to, so if the scooterist has to overtake this bus, it means it has to be more than 20, right? It has to be more than 20. So I'll say it is v minus 20. Okay, where v is the velocity of the scooterist. Fine. So now we have the velocity, we have the time, we have the distance, right? So velocity is equal to distance upon time. Time, we know that, right? So it means v minus 20 is equal to 2000. 2000 is the distance to be covered, divided by time is 200. So this is equal to 10. So it means v is equal to 20 plus 10 is equal to 30 meters per second. Okay, fine. So this is the velocity of the scooterist. Okay, so this is one way to calculate, right? If you want to calculate the other way without using a relative velocity, then how does it work then? So imagine that in 200 seconds, it has to cover in 200 seconds. So 200 seconds, both have to meet at a point. Some point they will meet here, right? At some point they will meet, both of them. So 200 seconds, the bus would have traveled this much distance and the scooterist should have traveled this much distance, right? So in the 200 seconds, the scooterist goes is equal to 200, so 200 second time into the velocity of the scooter rest, correct? Now the bus in 200 second, bus will go is equal to 200 seconds into the velocity of the bus, which is 20, which is 4000 meters per example. Okay, right? Now it is given that this scooterist will go a distance of, so it has to travel 2 kilometers more than the distance of the bus. So it means this is equal to this plus 2000, right? So it means 200 into Vs is equal to 4000 plus 2000 is equal to 6000, right? It means Vs is equal to 6000 divided by 200 is equal to 30. So in either way, we have the answer 30 meters per second. Okay, so which is second answer to us. Right? We'll go to the next problem now. The position of a particle with respect to time is given by x is equal to, so x is given to me is equal to 24t square minus 4t cube. Okay, where x is in meters and t is in, whatever the position of this particle when it achieves maximum speed, right? We need to identify or find the point or time of maximum speed. So we just now discussed in the concepts, right, that if we have to find the maximum speed here, maximum speed, for example, we need to find dv at that point, dv by dt is equal to 0, right? So let's go back to this now. So we need to find at what point dv by dt is equal to 0. Okay, so if you have to find dv by dt is equal to 0, then what is v in that case? X is given to me, so v is equal to dx by dt is equal to 48t. If you differentiate this becomes 48t and this becomes 12t square. 12t square. Okay. Now what is dv by dt in that case? 48 minus 24t. Okay. So what we said is that if we have to find the point of maximum speed, which is the maximum value of speed, it means dv by dt has to be equal to 0. Okay, it implies t is equal to, it implies t is equal to 48 divided by 24 is equal to 2. Okay, 2 seconds. So what will be the position of this particle when it achieves maximum speed, right? So what will be the position of the particle then at point 2 is equal to 2 seconds. So we need to substitute the value of 2 in this, right? So we will get the distance at this point, right? So 24 into 2 square minus 4 into 2 cube. This is equal to 24 into 4 is 96 minus 2 cubes 8 minus 4 is 8 into 4 is 32. This is equal to 64. Okay, so the answer in this case is 64. So the answer in this is not given, so there is a typo here. So the answer in this case will be 64 meters. Okay, let's go to the next problem now. If a car at rest accelerates uniformly to a speed of 350 kmph in 20 seconds, what is the distance it is covering? So the car is accelerating to a speed of 360 meters per second in 20 seconds, right? So firstly, this is 360, it is kmph and this is second. So we need to bring it to the same units, right? So if it is something is given to us in kilometers per hour, How do you bring this in meters per second? This is 360 into 5 by 18. Okay, so this becomes 100 meters per second. So this is a velocity in meters per second, or this is the speed in meters per second. So it is accelerating uniformly to a speed of 100 meters per second in 20 seconds. So first let's find the acceleration. Okay, v is equal to u plus at. It is given that it starts from rest, so u is equal to 0. Okay, it means it has gone to 100 meters per second is equal to a into 20 seconds. Okay, so it means a is equal to 5 meters per second square. Okay, so what is the distance it covers in the 20 seconds then? So this is simple. We have those basic formula. S is equal to ut plus half a t square. U is given to be 0 because it's starting from rest. This is equal to half into a is 5 t square. So t is 20. So 20 square is 400. Okay, this becomes equal to 5 into 200 is equal to 1000 meters. Okay, so this is the answer in this case. Okay, so we will end the video session here. So friends, thank you for going through the video session. If you think you are learning something from this video session, then we'll request you to please like and subscribe to this channel, so we get more inspiration to contribute more content and help you achieve your NEET aspirations and help you in your NEET exam. Okay, thank you friends, and we'll see you in the next video session. If you have any comments, please drop it in the comment section and we will come back to you very soon. Thank you.